So I'm here with my cousin Troy and his wife Debbie, and we're going to talk about her sweet daughter Sarah. How long has it been now since Sarah passed away?
17 months.
That
December 3rd.
December 3rd?
Yeah, December 3rd. So yeah, a little over a year and a half ago.
So part of why we're doing this interview today is to bring awareness to drug addiction and how people become addicted, different reasons why it happens. If they have, if anybody does, maybe they would have some insight on different ways of maybe knowing, or maybe what you can do or what you can try and avoid. There was a lot of different things to go along with the story, and we'll let them tell that. But first off, how did she start taking drugs to begin with?
We're not exactly sure. I know.
Yes, because it started a lot earlier
than what we thought.
Aware of. It could have been friend influence. It could have been just so many things so early on that.
Well, we first started seeing a change at 15. So they'll grow. It's a stage, and they grow out of it, but she didn't. So, yeah.
Okay, so you say you think she started probably around 15. That's when you noticed. When did you know that there was a problem? That it wasn't just a fun phase that she was going through?
It was about a year, about 21.
And how long?
So about a year and a half.
Where we kind of start seeing signs of money missing, always asking for the same amount of money to borrow, just in changes in mood, attitude, stuff like that.
But she was always that way. She always had an attitude and fought authority. She was always like that, very carefree though. And but it was to the extreme the older she got. So it was hard to see in the moment the difference, because she was always like that to begin with.
Yeah. So did you think because of the money missing or the whatever, did you jump to that thought, or did you think something else first, or were you like, okay, I think she might have a problem?
Because
she held the job. She did really well at her job. So
she made pretty good money. She financed herself, bought her own car, went on, saved up money, went on a European backpacking trip on her own. So she knew how to take care of herself when it came to her finances and stuff like that. And she was very smart about it, saved money. But it was always, let me borrow the $40, and
it's always $40.
Yeah.
And then so I Googled it one time, and it came up with drug use. That's a very typical amount. And so, but she was very good at manipulating us, and I guess hiding it from us and making us think that we're going crazy with all these clues.
Mm-hmm.
So, because she was a really good manipulator. In which most addicts are.
Oh yeah.
So
anything to get.
And we didn't know that at the time. So yeah.
So when did you confront her, or what did you say when you did finally say, I think I know what's going on. Let's get to the bottom of this.
Kind of a funny story. We kind of had a thought, and she was kind of hanging around some sketchy people and stuff like that. And they were over at the house one day, and they were going to leave. He says, hey, she was asking for money, and we said no. And we said, you've got your own money. You still got a job. So we said no. And we kind of were trying to put two together is why she keep asking for money when she has money, and then her friend was there who has money as well. She worked in the same place, or they worked in the same place. And defiant over our answer of no, that
it wasn't the usual.
It was starting to turn into a fight, and we just finally put her foot down and said, no, we're not lending any money. So we kind of talked and said, something's going on, that's kind of weird. And so we decided we were going to tell them. So they left, and we got in our car and we followed them. And
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, that's right.
Unfortunately, we didn't see the transaction go down or whatever, but yeah, living in this state my whole life, and where they ended up, probably pretty good chance that's where they were headed.
Were they in Salt Lake?
To buy drugs. What's that?
Was it in Salt Lake?
It was West Valley.
Like, that's another good
spot. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, not the good part of West Valley either.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if there is one, sorry to all West Valley people that see it, but
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
so that,
Mm.
and then later on that night, she was just, she was out of it. You could tell that she had used that day and stuff. So that was kind of an eye opener that,
Something that's
when she asked for money and she turned to this point of defiance, and that was her addiction, just saying I need, and got so frustrated with the fact that she couldn't get something out of us to help her with it. That's where we kind of.
well, I think it happened before that though, and we were kind of enabling it without knowing what we were enabling. In a moment, you don't think about it or realize it. So looking back now, we understand what she was doing and what we were doing, and that wasn't healthy. But I mean, we didn't know because we're not addicts, and we weren't around addicts our whole lives, and so we didn't know.
And for the people that do get a hold of this podcast and stuff, it's whatever you do, it's going to be the right thing. I mean, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know how to help her, but we were, like my wife says, we were enabling her. Of course you are, because you're the parent. You're going to do everything you can to help your child. Even though they're an addict and they're using, you're still helping them do that, even though you don't know that you are.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is, and I don't know that I would call that enabling, because you don't know. You're loving, you're trying to take care of your daughter. You're not saying, oh, I know she's doing drugs and she really, really wants this, so I'm going to give her money. No, you're not doing that.
Right.
That would be enabling. You're loving her, trying to take care of her, trying to figure out what's wrong with her. So
I guess after the fact, it feels that way.
I guess,
yeah.
In the aftermath, and people that have gone through it will say that, well, we can sit there and see a family with an addict child, and we'd be like, you need to stop this right now.
Yeah.
But that parent is going to be like, no, that's my child. I can't.
Yeah.
So you don't know
till you're in the situation.
And it's either a good outcome or a bad outcome. You don't.
And I think when we absolutely knew what was going on, she was 21 and she OD'd in her bedroom, and her friend.
And this is staying with you guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Staying with us.
And her friend came and got us, and he said that her lips were blue, and so he had to perform CPR on her.
Her friend?
Yeah, no, on Sarah.
I did.
Oh, Troy did.
Troy did. Yeah. Troy did, and until the paramedics came. And once that happened, we knew what we were dealing with at that time.
What was her drug of choice?
It started with Oxy, and then I think there was maybe some meth when she was younger. I don't know the extent of it, but then it turned heroin.
Because it's cheaper, right?
Yeah, she couldn't afford the pills anymore. Yeah, and that's what she told me. Throughout this process later on, before she passed away, that's what it was. She couldn't afford the pills.
So Troy was saying just a minute ago that like you guys can tell now a lot of times when you see someone that's an addict. What are these signs that you can see now that are so clear that tell you that their child or another child out there is addicted to drugs?
I mean, it's physical behaviors.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, there's going to be defiant children out there that aren't addicts, and there's going to be people out there with defiant issues that are mental issues.
In which Sarah had. She had mental issues on top of the addiction. It kind of goes hand in hand.
To me personally, it's more of a physical state of mind and how they present themselves and how they act.
And how they treat their family.
Because addiction comes in a lot of different forms, and people will act that way, addicted even to other things. Yeah.
And there's people that hide their addiction in plain sight, and you can never tell. That's a tough question because
you know it because you've been through it, but it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not going to try to critique somebody else and say that they're an addict.
Yeah.
I could have my thought that they might be. But
right.
That's just, to me, that's a little too far to accuse someone else of being an addict.
Yeah.
Without being firsthand with them. So
right. And every situation's different, and
Yeah.
every parent's different the way they handle it too. But I mean, there is a telltale sign, though. I mean,
I know, like with meth and stuff, there's a lot of picking and things like that. But hers wasn't that. You didn't see track marks. You didn't.
oh,
anything
I
like that,
did.
or the sunken
did.
eyes.
Yeah. Well, or a telltale sign is you look gray. You have a gray hue to you. And the sunken eyes and losing weight. It's a different kind of weight loss. It's not like she was working out
Yeah.
weight loss. It's just, it's very,
she ate like a horse, but she got
Anyway.
yeah. But the gray face is a big part of it.
And you did
big
notice
eyes.
that. Like, why is she so
Yeah.
gray?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
you knew at that time, like, oh, please stop, please stop.
Yeah. And and I did notice a track mark one time around when she was 21. A lot of this started about a year, like really bad, about a year and a half before she passed away. And so it was all just like one thing after another. And instead of gradually getting to that point, it was just like all consumed at once. And I did notice, and she had an excuse, of course, but I knew. And but then, and I knew it was going to get worse before it got better, and it did. And she would never admit it. She would never admit it.
You're able to eat, you're able to do all these things. And so it's so much easier to hide, because a lot of times you'll still look like a pretty healthy person, because all your money isn't going to drugs. You're still being able to take showers, and you're still being able to do all those things to take care of yourself. So it's not as obvious as maybe somebody else that's out on the street, because they don't have, you know what I mean, anybody to take care of them. So it can be a lot harder to see.
And once she was in that position to where we weren't able to help her anymore, and she was in a different state, that's exactly what it came down to. She ended up not showering and not having any money, and just not eating right, you know, and so that did eventually happen.
So let's go back to the first overdose that you were talking about. And you said Troy had to give her CPR. Did he bring her back to life, or just keep her heart beating until they got there? Or when did she start breathing on her own?
When I pulled her out of her room, I pulled her out of her room into the hallway where there was more room. She was blue. I mean, there was no chest movement. Couldn't feel anything in your breath come out.
Yeah, there wasn't a pulse or anything.
And so I stayed on the line with 911 until help arrived. And so they kind of just kept going through it with me. She didn't have any movement by the time they got there, but
doing the CPR, the compressions.
I think there was some breath in her, but she wasn't moving. Because her lips did
start to get some color.
There was some color in them by the time they got there. And then when they got there, they
gave her Narcan.
You know, we told them what we possibly thought it was, and they gave her the Narcan, and within 3 or 4 minutes, she was in the bathroom throwing up, and kind of brought her back, you know.
What does the Narcan do? I mean, I know it's a drug that they give.
It blocks it inhibits the drug from affecting them or the bloodstream. From what I know, right?
Yeah, I'm not a
doctor.
So could I play one on TV? No.
Oh my God.
I can see that. So after that, was it okay? We need to go to rehab, or what were your guys' next steps after this?
Right.
And kind of at that point, we were, you know, the fights were constant. They were even physical fights. You know, she got into a fight with my wife. Ended up sucker punching her, and just.
And so we ended up calling the police on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe we should have before that, because now I realize, looking back, she should have been held accountable more so than what she was. And I think that's a big thing. But we didn't, again, when you're in the depth of it, you don't see that.
Yeah.
So it was kind of after that we kind of said, this is enough. You can't stay here till.
Well, she stealing money and.
Yeah,
there was a lot that compounded
but that
to
was
get to that point.
That was kind of the final straw of us having to revive her in our own home. That we knew that she had a bigger problem than we could solve by, feeding her and giving her a place to stay, having to deal with the fights every day,
The disrespect that comes along
Yeah.
with
So that
addiction is unbelievable.
Yeah.
so that was the final straw that we said, you can't stay here until you get help. You can stay here.
If you're getting help, you go to treatment and then come back. You can come back and we'll help you in any way we can. Or do an outpatient treatment. That's how it kind of started from there. Do an outpatient treatment program, and then you can stay with us.
And she agreed?
No. She
Like, that's pretty, usually doesn't go like that, at least the way I seen it on the TV show.
No, I mean, there was so many times that she went to treatment, and she would leave, or she'd go to detox. I would say maybe 15 times she was in treatment.
Is this something that your insurance covered? Because I know that that's a huge thing for people because it's very expensive.
Yeah, the treatment, well, she wouldn't get help in Utah. She said she did not want to get help here. And she always wanted to be somewhere else. And that even when she was little, she always had to be somewhere else. She was never comfortable in her own skin and just where she was at in life. It was always something different. And so she said, oh, I'll get help out of state. And so we were like, okay, well, jump on that and try. If she's willing to do that, let's see what we can do. Because we don't have out of state insurance, but our insurance found a place in Texas.
Okay.
And so that's
Well,
where we
she had
sent her.
two options. It was Florida or Texas, and she chose Texas.
And this was the first time? Or is this the first time like in an inpatient?
Right. First time for inpatient. Yeah.
Okay. She'd done the other.
She was like, like Uni in Salt Lake. They have a
Not
detox.
familiar. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's a University of Utah hospital, and it's for mental, and they have a part where it's for detox and addiction. She was there twice before, or after she OD'd, she was there twice trying to get help. And what am I saying? And I think basically, that was it. That's all she would do here, right?
Yeah, even though we found places here that she could go, we even drove her to Orem.
Well, no, that was later.
I know it was later, but it kind of goes with the fact that she wouldn't be here. Really good place in Orem that wanted to take her in. She spent, a day or so there?
No, 3.
Or 3 days there.
3 days.
And then came to us and said, I'm going back to Texas because she couldn't in Texas.
And she knew that it was always going to be a battle. And at one point, she asked us if she could stay here with us or live with us and use. And it's absolutely
She was just straight
not.
up. Can I do
Yeah.
this, please?
Yeah. And she's like, well, other parents do that. I'm like, well, we're not going to be those parents. And I said, I don't know if I agree with that that's what people actually do. It may have been a manipulation thing. And then she would ask us to go buy it for her. And
I mean, just going on, she keeps bringing up the word manipulation, that we were always told that we didn't love her and we never cared about her because we wouldn't enable her to keep using.
Yeah.
Every time that we stopped her from doing it or tried to stop her, then that's when we stopped caring about her in her mind.
Yeah.
And that's,
I've heard that.
she tried to.
And the guilt that parents hold, and we had so much guilt, and we do now. But looking back, we felt very helpless.
Yeah.
And she knew that, and she would play on it.
Oh yeah.
And try to guilt us into doing certain things. But there are certain things that we just would not do. So
Just like the funniest, or the sign that how manipulative she was, so we would have date night or whatever, like we'll go out and eat, have a few drinks or whatever, spend $60 on dinner or whatever. If she caught wind of that, it was, I can't believe you guys would go out and spend that money and not help me. It's, well, you have a whole house full of food. You got your TV with Netflix and Hulu. You've got everything that you need right here. Just because I didn't give you $60 and I spent it on your mom so we could go out and have dinner. But yet we caught and it was a fight. A literal almost a physical fight because she
Almost
was
a
so
knockdown drag out fight when she
was so
upset about it.
that we wouldn't give her, $40 to her drug.
And I think at that point, you're not really talking to your daughter, you're talking to her addiction,
Right.
I've heard that they, a lot of those drugs, they will get their first high and it's amazing, and that they never have that again, and that they're just searching for that and trying to get that,
For that.
high back and that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, she did tell me that shortly before she passed away, that she was at that point. And sorry, one sec.
No, you're just fine.
We were trying to say.
Back to, she was going to get help. We had talked a little bit about this before, and you had said that you had gone to some meetings with her. Did you go to the meetings where she was at like the 3-day ones, or was it once she was in the facility, like where she had checked in Texas, or when did you actually get to come and do the family meetings?
Well, when she was in uni, in detox, and for mental problems, we went. They had family group meetings and stuff, so we went to everything with her on that aspect.
Well, kind of touch on uni and stuff. Like, one of the reasons why she was sent to uni, you don't get sent up there just for using drugs. So like one of her ODs, a caseworker will come in and ask her questions on why she OD'd and stuff like that. And if they feel that you're purposely trying to harm yourself, then you're going to be put in uni and stuff like that. And that was one of the things that she says, yeah, I don't really care anymore.
Yeah.
I don't care if I die.
So they're kind of like on a suicide watch and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
And and at that time, when she was 21 and she was in uni and feeling that way, I don't think she ever, that feeling with her just enhanced. It got worse and worse over time. That didn't get any better. And I don't think it helped her in any way with drugs. I think it made it worse because of her mental.
With her being over 18, did she have the ultimate say?
Yeah, she did.
And any of these?
Yeah. And that was one of my biggest fights with the hospitals when she OD'd, or she was put in the hospital for one thing or another, that they wouldn't, there was quite a few times where they wouldn't send her to uni or a place like that to get help because she was over 18. And she clearly needed the help, but it was just like, it was fighting, like corporate America. It couldn't get anywhere because it's all politics to me.
You're talking about amendment rights and stuff like that. I mean, she has the right to do what she wants, but at the same time, as a parent, we wanted her. I mean, there were points where, like, lock her up, put her in jail, so she's not out on the streets, not, so it's not so acceptable.
Yeah.
For,
detox.
Not just to hospital. I'm just put her in jail. It was like, it got to that point where, because she had every say whether she stayed in the facility or not. It was up to her. But if it was a legal problem and she got put in jail, then it's not her say. So,
right.
There were times where, like, I just hope she gets picked up and get put in jail so she's not out on the street using.
Yeah. So once she was in the facility and you came to visit her, I know you were kind of saying that at first it was, the whole testing of, different things, seeing what it's like, seeing if they like it, hanging out with friends, that you had found out at one of these group meetings another reason that she got so into drugs. You care to touch on that just a little bit?
Well, her, the way she felt about herself, she always thought she was ugly. She always thought she was worthless, that no one cared about her. She always had that, how else would you explain it?
Just have like self-hate.
What's that?
She just had like self-hate.
Yeah, self-hate, and she always felt like she didn't deserve to be happy or loved. Like, probably her whole life she thought that. And
yeah, I mean, she was difficult when she was young.
Yeah.
I mean, so she did have some mental, what she was diagnosed with.
Well, she was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and oppositional defiance disorder. But that was under 21, and so things can change. And
Oh, yeah.
I think it was more bipolar. I don't know for sure though, but yeah.
I
And
treat them the same in those kind of situations because most of those kind of things, they have like some sort of medication that they try and treat it with.
And,
And did they try?
and we had Medicaid, and she
refused to take it. It was a knockdown drag out fight again to get her to take the medicine, or she would take it for a little bit and she would feel better, so she would stop taking it. Like, oh, I can handle this now, and then she would just crash.
I know all about that. I had a daughter that she's got more anxiety issues, and she would take medication for that as well. And I have bad anxiety, and I take medication as well. And she took it, and she didn't like it. She didn't like the way it made her feel, or it wasn't working, or it worked, then she didn't want to anymore. And then a couple of years ago, she actually tried to kill herself. And so it's the medication doesn't always work unless they're willing to work with it and try and work with the process. But they have that teenage brain where they think they know better. You know what I mean? And it's taken me until I was an adult to realize that with my kids are leaving, that it does help. And that when I don't take it, and even if you stop taking it when you're feeling better, you're going to go back to that place, because a lot of times it's just a chemical imbalance in your brain. It's not that you're crazy. It's not that you're this, but it just balances you out and just makes you feel normal, you know?
Yeah, she always said that she felt like we thought she was crazy, or everyone else thought that she was crazy for taking pills.
Yeah, and she didn't like the fact that she had to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a crappy feeling, you know?
She thought she was normal, and
I mean,
she thought taking them made her unnormal.
Mhm.
And so she's just like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I had ADD in high school. They tried to give me drugs, and I dumped them down the toilet, and I was like, oh, I don't think so. My mom got more. And then I was like, you know what? I don't even like this place. And I did the same thing. I tried to OD and whatever, but it's the stupid kid brain. And it's not so much that you're not normal, but we all need different things. You know what I mean? Like what exactly is normal? You know what I mean? Everybody's got something that they struggle with, every single person.
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't make you not normal. Hey, Roy, even you.
Pretty normal.
So he thinks.
I know that look and that head shake. Not me.
I'm pretty normal.
Normal is boring, just FYI.
Oh,
Normal is boring. You're not boring. Otherwise, Debbie wouldn't be with you.
Right. That's funny that you say that, because I always say that to him. I said, you couldn't handle a normal girl. You need a little crazy in your life. He's like, yeah, I do. I like a little crazy.
Yeah. To a point. Okay. So when did you realize that she had something happen to her, and that was a part of what was going on?
When I took her, you mean like with the people in her life that she looked up to? She told me about that when I took her to the first NA meeting that I went to with her. And so she's like, are you ready to hear everything? And I said, well, yeah, that's why I'm here. But then it blew me away. I had no idea the extent of it. And that I learned pretty quick in that meeting that what was actually going on, and why she was maybe using at that time, and using harder drugs at that time, because of the way she felt. So
you had said that was a couple of people that she really trusted. So I mean, that had to put that weight on her so much more. That it wasn't just one, and that's hard for a person, especially already having issues with herself, right?
Yeah. And then her biological father not being around and manipulating and lying and doing everything. So
did she know him, her biological?
Later on, when she got older, she did, and that's probably one of my biggest regrets, is letting him be able to come back in their lives, because he is not a nice person, and he caused a lot of damage while he was around. Yeah, when he came back, before and after.
Yeah.
But Troy was always, Troy was there since they were little.
Oh, yeah, I remember you guys getting married, and you have those two little cute girls. And
Yeah, they were pretty young. And so, I mean, but so they did have normalcy in their life. But then when they got older, what, it was about 12,
No,
10 or 11 or 12 when he came back around?
it was later.
Oh.
Later than that. It was mid to late teens
Oh,
when, you know, once that teenager's brain starts kicking in and we start saying no too much, then they kind of like, well, what about my real dad? And that's kind of where they kind of got in contact with him and yeah, throw a couple bills at him, and all of a sudden he's a great guy, and
Oh yeah.
promise after promise being broken to him.
and Sarah took that harder than Mary did. It really affected Sarah, but Mary, I don't think it really affected her. She didn't really care.
She's affected by him, just in
I
a
mean,
different way.
yeah, different way. Okay.
Well, and then they say that, I mean, I watch a lot of these kind of things, and just even knowing our own family and situations that we've been through. I mean, you could have someone who was raped and they can go through life and be an addict, a sex addict. And then you have other people who have been raped and they don't want to be touched at all. So people are affected by traumatic situations completely different. So, I mean, of course, they're both affected by it, but they obviously took it in different directions on.
Yeah, I mean, I think with both kids, they thought that, because we gave them an extremely normal life. Just
There was love, and there was
we had our our house rules and stuff like that, and their chores and this, that, nothing
nothing nothing extreme.
took them fishing.
Yeah.
I mean, just a normal life.
Yeah.
But once we started saying no to certain things, is the grass greener on the other side? Then, and that's why they contacted him. And when Sarah realized that it isn't any greener over there, in fact, it's a little worse, she just had a hard time with that.
The last facility she was in Texas, right? And that was a
Right.
live-in facility.
Yeah, the first place she went to out there, it was a live-in
So
facility.
she went in there once or twice, or how many times
Oh,
did she
she
visit there?
It was her first long-term facility that she was willing to go to.
Okay.
And that's one that we got from the insurance company, and that they would cover out of state. And so we sent her there. And she was in and out. She would leave, she would like take off through the door, and she had like 6 hours to go back in before they would have to redo everything. Reprocess her as a new patient. And she pushed that all
They
the
would
time.
let her leave, or she would sneak out, or
She would just the door open, she would just run out,
Well,
because it was kind of a lockdown, but she knew how to.
well, yeah. And see, that's kind of where we're going with some of these facilities, especially for people just going through this and looking for help with their children or whatever, that they got to do their homework on these places, because we kind of found out that maybe they were actually driving them out of the facility
oh,
to actually like get drugs and then bring them back and reprocess them. So
No.
the insurance company's always paying these places, and we're always paying our insurance premiums or whatever. And so it's a revolving door of keeping these people in that system and not getting them the help.
so there's no limit
And
on the
it's kind
insurance?
of-
Is there no limit on the insurance? Because I know, like, if you're in therapy and once it hits your limit on your therapy, then they're, oh yeah, you're good to go, or you ran out of money. So are they not like that with treatment facilities?
Well, I thought they were, but I mean, it was hundreds of thousands of dollars that the insurance spent on her. So I'm not sure about that. I thought there was, though.
Yeah.
So usually like 100,000 or something like that, and then
and even see that's kind of where I get to, as parents, you get pissed off at certain processes and things that happen.
because a lot of it's out of your control, and you fight you're like, again, fighting the system too.
And the two facilities that she was at, well, one was
The first one she went to, yeah, that was the main one, and she would
the fact that she would be able to get out time and time again,
and then let back in.
and there was no way to keep her there.
So how did you know that she was leaving? Did she tell you? Did the facility
She would
tell
call.
She would end up calling us, use like some random guy's phone, because she would walk or hitchhike. So I was always so worried about that, and being in Texas.
you? So what was she calling for? Did she
What's
want money, or why would she call you?
Yeah, money.
She'd always end up Walmart parking lot, and that's where they'd go drive and pick her up and bring her back. Right?
Yeah.
So how would she get out of these doors without them seeing? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, it doesn't seem to make sense. If they would have to shut the doors completely before they leave, you would think that would be in a facility like that.
That's why I'm thinking that, they took them off facility site, maybe to go shopping here and there. And
Yeah.
then she disappears, doesn't come back, and then they leave anyway. And then say, well, she doesn't come back in 6 hours, and she's not,
Yeah.
she's no longer a patient. But then, she would call us, ask for this, ask for that, and then the 5th hour, she would call them and say, hey, I'm over at Walmart. So they go and pick her up.
Because then it was just in time.
4 or 5 hours later, she's, high again.
Yeah.
So,
Or less than that, actually. Yeah. And the sad thing is they know where to get it around it.
Yeah. How would she know in Texas where to get drugs?
Well, treatment facilities out there, I'm sure it's here too, but we know for sure out there that they wait for people to come out,
oh yeah.
the drug dealers. So they know what they're doing. They know how to get these people. But then what Sarah told me is she just Googled it on her phone.
Google it?
And she was able to get it. So I was curious. I'm like, so how is that a real thing? And I Googled it, and it was. It
What did
came
you
up.
Google? I mean, maybe you shouldn't say how you Google it. Maybe not.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
but it's a real thing. That's how they get. That's one way for them to find drugs.
You go, it'll give you an area
Where
you
to
can
go to.
Like we know in Utah, where I mean, just
Yeah.
Yes.
even though we don't do drugs, we know the areas.
Police might post that this is where most active drug arrests were made. And so Google takes that and say, well, this is where most of the drug arrests were made. This might be a prominent place to go.
Well, when Sarah Googled it, a phone number actually came up, and she called them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You think the police could do that? That'd be a good way to do some drug busts.
You would think, right? Yeah.
I would think, yeah. So do you know if she was able to ever get drugs while in the facility? Or was it always when she supposedly broke out or got out or?
I was told maybe a couple times that someone threw something over the wall,
Mm-hmm.
and she was able to get it without, or eventually they caught on that she had drugs, but they never really got into that with us. And so,
I think the second place she was at was more prominent. There was drugs in there.
yeah. So I don't think too much in that place. It was just the ability to be able to come and go.
Yeah. So tell me about December, the call that you got, how you found out. Who got the phone call? Was it you or Troy?
I did. And
It was kind of a mutual call. So I work graveyard, so I got home about 4 or 5 o'clock that morning, lay down, went to sleep.
well, wait, here, let me backtrack a little bit. I had a feeling something was wrong because I hadn't heard from Sarah. And usually when that happens, it's because she's using again. Because she was almost a month sober. So she was finally starting to get it.
Yeah.
I think she just ran out of time. And so I had a feeling something was wrong because she wasn't calling me or texting me at all. Because usually no matter what, she would text me. I would say, just let me know you're okay, you know.
And we talked to her a few times a couple days prior because she had a court date that day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's another thing we didn't get into about. That was a big part of this
She
too.
had some legal issues with getting in trouble.
She was arrested in Texas,
Okay, what was that for?
heroin,
Yeah.
and so she was looking at 2 to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So she was in jail.
You know, so, but, and we talked to her and tried to reassure her that just, hey, be an adult, you're an adult, go to your court hearing, whatever they say, you know, we'll get through it. You know, we'll help you out the best we can. Just don't stress yourself out, you know, don't stress about it. We'll help you through it and stuff like that. And then it was actually the day of her
Court
hearing is when she passed. I think it just was too
Did
hard
she
on
have
her.
a cell phone in there?
Yeah.
Do you have a cell phone in the facility?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, so where she was at that time was a sober living facility.
Oh, okay. Because
So-
she was sober for a month.
Well, she was in and out of the sober living
Oh, okay.
because she thought that would work better for her than going into long-term treatment, but which obviously it doesn't work. But you know, that's what she thought, and so that's the only thing she would do after she left the long-term facility. She would only do sober living. Yeah.
So did she sell the heroin or something, or was she just
No.
using?
Just using.
Yeah,
And they were going to give her 2 to 10 for using?
Oh no, for possession when she got pulled over with another guy that she was in treatment with.
Uh-huh.
They got pulled over, and because she had so much on her, or they both did, and
they got
paraphernalia, that she was looking at 2 to 10.
Wow.
Which I don't even know if she would have gotten that because
Yeah, usually it's treatment and
here in Utah she got caught with stuff. She got EMI issues, so she had legal issues here as well.
But not that extreme.
Yeah, not to that extreme. But so yes, she was going to have court fines. She was going to have, you know, she had an uphill battle, but you know, she was always reassured that we were going to help her with it. You know, that wasn't the money. Never was the issue, or the income was, you know. That wasn't the issue. It was her getting out and physically better was our main goal. So, and that's what we try to reassure that, you know, we'll take care of it. You just get better. We'll take care of the rest of it. Just go to your court date, find out what they tell us, what they tell you, and then we'll go from there. And don't worry about it.
Even if she got guilty or whatever, would they have made her start her sentence that day?
Yeah, I think so.
You would think.
Yeah,
so
I think
I'm
so.
sure her sentence wasn't going to be really any massive jail time. I think it was going to be probably a hefty fine and
treatment. And then she didn't do treatment. I'm thinking then she would have to go to jail or prison or whatever if she didn't follow through on probation. Yeah. That's what we were thinking, but you know, we'll never know now. But
so when they called you, what did they tell you?
So I got, because sometime ever since Sarah was down there, I would get, I guess, spam calls, and they would use the number Texas area code. Somehow they knew that I was calling Texas and vice versa. And so I thought it was a spam call. And so I didn't answer it at first. And I was like, okay, here we go, another spam call. And then they called back again, and I just had a bad feeling. And so I answered it. And she said, she was just like, I need you to sit down, is what she said to me. And I knew.
And then, I mean, I was asleep at the moment, and I don't know how long you were on the phone. But I
instantly threw it, and I ran into the bedroom.
I just heard her saying, no, no, no. And that kind of woke me up. And she woke me up, just handed me the phone. And so when I got on the phone, she said, this is so-and-so from Sober Living. Sorry to say that Sarah passed today. So,
did they tell you how? I mean,
no, it was, you know, just more of letting us process the fact that she was gone.
And then we started asking questions.
You know, and then once, you know, and I can't remember her name, but she was aware that the phone call was passed to me. Kind of like her main thing was to, you know, make sure you take care of your wife. She needs, you know, because she knew she was in distress and stuff like that. And actually, at the moment, I was very calm and that's when I started asking questions and how. And
honestly, I don't even really remember. So like that time frame?
Yeah, because my wife came in asking me questions. What happened? What happened? And that's when I started. All right, let me ask. And she said that at a certain time, I think it was like 7:30.
She passed at
Something.
7:30. Yeah.
That,
So it was 7:30 our time.
Mm-hmm.
that they had found her.
That's what time
She
they
was-
found
she-
her, or they know that that's when she passed.
But when they found her,
Well,
because she
yeah.
was still breathing a little bit,
Oh, okay.
but they say maybe it was just kind of residual effect, or what do you call that when someone's already passed?
Mhm.
And,
And their body's
Your
still.
body passing
yeah.
air.
Yeah.
And so they tried. So it was 7:30, and when I found out our time, and so they had her roommate found her in the bathroom at Sober Living. So she passed away in the Sober Living house, and which I mean is a thing we struggle with
That,
every day.
well, that's a very in-depth issue that we have with one, probably just that facility. Hopefully just that facility. Hopefully not all sober living are like that, but there's some issues there that
But it's pretty. I mean, it
I
happens.
have issues with. But
It does happen though, unfortunately.
so, I mean, you talk about December, you want to talk about December 3rd, that it's a very blurry, chaotic, don't want to relive that day again. So, phone call stuff.
Yeah.
I think anytime you get that call, it's going to be not one you want.
I actually thought it was maybe a jail. She was calling from jail or something.
That would have been nice.
And that's why I was getting a Texas phone call too. I thought that.
So
But they oh, go ahead.
how did you find out what she actually passed from? Did they know? Did she have paraphernalia in the bathroom or wherever she was when she passed?
So they did. They knew that it was. They knew it was heroin because they had video of it.
Oh,
Of her
they had video of the rooms?
Of her.
I mean, yes, they
Well, see,
did, but that's where our other long problem that we have with sober living is gonna turn out to be is they have video of her going out right out front to a car.
they pulled up
and
right
getting-
in basically almost in the driveway
Yeah.
of the Sober Living house,
and
getting
then-
the heroin, and that's the heroin that caused her to pass away. It was from fentanyl. It was cut with too much fentanyl. Unfortunately, I mean, I know the
Yeah. So I mean,
So are they allowed to have visitors there?
No.
No. So this person
No,
coming
no,
there and
but-
her walking out the door, that was something that should have never happened.
right.
in
Yeah,
our mind, yeah.
Or someone, they have a house manager, so they're supposed to keep an eye out on everyone and
And
to prevent stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen.
so you're looking at Texas time. What's that? 5 o'clock in the morning.
No,
Yeah.
they're ahead of us.
So
8?
It was
8 o'clock.
I think it was 9. I think they're 9:30.
I haven't. I've seen the video a little bit, but I didn't pay close attention.
It was at like 1:15 in the morning, a.m. in the morning.
When he came,
So
or she, or
Yeah.
whoever was in the car.
and you clearly see her walk out of the building and get in the car right out. I mean, video cameras at businesses only span so far, and for this car to be in plain sight,
Yeah.
it's right up front. And the fact that she can just walk out, get in a car, get drugs, walk back in
And do them
is
right under their nose. Kind of
that's
doesn't
kind of
really.
what pisses me off.
Well,
It
yeah.
really pisses me off that they're there for help.
I mean, regardless how many times she was in and out, I mean, she was in a Sober Living trying to get help. and it was just
You know,
always there, always available.
you know, and it trickles down from, you know, the sober living place that she was at. I feel was at fault for letting her just be able to walk in, walk out. Law enforcement, knowing that these drug dealers comb these places,
Mm-hmm.
that there's not somebody, or there's not like patrols that go around
Oh yeah.
and they see a car pull up to.
Because they're very aware. I've talked to many police officers since all this happened. They're very aware.
You would think if a car pulls up to a sober living house and stops, that they've got drugs on them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to catch the big guy, but you know what? Catch that one right now, and you know, in our aspect, save a life.
Mm-hmm.
But
See, but well, the thing is though, which we do understand is that Sarah, she's accountable for her own part of it. I mean, a lot of people say it's the drug and this and that, but I mean, Sarah knew what she was doing, and she knew. She took that chance of knowing, because she OD'd when he was had a reviver. It was fentanyl, so she's aware of what that could do. And every time you use, you take that chance that you could pass away from it. And I'm not one to blame other people for her choices, but I just feel, or I guess we feel that
I've been
it made
saying,
it harder for her.
I've been saying that, you know, I'm upset with law enforcement not being there. I'm upset with the sober living facility.
It's kind of all we have now.
Not having better security system or whatever. When it all comes down to it, I'm more upset with Sarah, because it was her decision to keep using, even though it wasn't. We understand it's not her fault that she was an addict. I mean, addiction will take control of you, and you have no control over it. But she chose to use that first time that caused this whole thing that made her out of control of herself. So as a parent, there's also somebody. It's
a really big struggle mentally, thinking about both sides of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So everything is, we have a lot of hate toward a lot of things because nobody did anything to help cure our daughter.
And that's why we wanted her to get help here, because we were close, and we would tell her that, like, we will be close. When you're out in Texas, there's nothing you can do. But she told me she wasn't done using, and that's why she went there, because she knew she could without us being on her.
You know, and that was one of the things that kind of set a little hard with us, was when she said she's not done using.
Yeah.
And so we were dealing with this for so many years, and the defiance and the disrespect, and for her to just come out and say, "Hey, I'm not done using," or
it's very sad.
Can I live with you but still use? Which in our minds was very disrespectful. That's just something.
See, the thing is, though, it's not. I mean, now I look back, we probably shouldn't have taken it so personal, because they're not meaning to be. An addict is not meaning to be disrespectful and say those kind of things to you to hurt you, unless, or I mean, at some point, yes, but try to get something out of you. But overall, that wasn't her intention. And that's not an addict.
Well, she was just I think she was just being honest. Like, hey, I'm not done using. I need a place to stay. I'm not ready to quit, and I could really use your help. In her mind, she was probably being honest and brutally honest at that point, because her options were probably running low.
Right.
But that's where our anger comes in so many different forms. We're extremely angry with her for that decision. I mean, and because the effort that we put through to get her out of that lifestyle and to get her clean and not be an addict, and then to just turn around and say, no, I'm an addict and I want to use.
And basically, at the time, in that moment, it feels like an FU. I don't care what you think. And I mean, and as a parent, that's hard
At
to.
the
deal with.
time.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, at the time, that's what I'm saying.
But
Yeah.
the anger now, it's still there for the fact that she chose to use, knowing that this could really, really hurt her.
Yeah.
And
Maybe even more hurt than angry. It just hurts you guys more.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It just, yeah.
I mean, I would think as an outsider on the situation that definitely there's accountability for her, but then there's a point when it takes over and it's hard to make her accountable at that point. And when you put your trust into somebody else to help you when that's their job, that
Right.
the simplest thing is if you have that camera go off because there's movement, you want to know what's going on outside. You want to make sure that nobody's going outside and giving anything, because it's not only the person that's going out there. They can bring those drugs into your facility, give them to other people.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Show any
everyone.
accountability for them. And I could see how that could really upset you. That doesn't make any sense.
it's not sober living anymore.
Yeah.
No, it basically wasn't.
It's like a drug house anywhere.
Yeah, in order to
that's
get in
kind of
there, they should have to be able to go through a security. I mean, almost like a jail. Like, hey, let's make sure there's no knife in the cake or a file or whatever. You're not bringing
Right.
any drugs into this facility. You cannot come here unless we check to see that they may be able to leave and come back, but if they come back, they should be checked. Make sure that there's nothing on them and anybody else that comes in there. I mean, that's how you're protecting these people that are there for your help. You're not protecting them if you're letting people come in and bring drugs. That's not protecting them. And that's their job.
And even if they come in with nothing, if they went outside for 20, 30 minutes, somebody should be on watch on that person. And if they start acting a certain way, or if they did OD, then Narcan can be
administered immediately. So
we don't know how long she was in the bathroom.
Well,
By herself.
I kind of do, because the night before, I made homemade empanadas. She always wanted me to make her homemade empanadas because she loved food. She loved my cooking, and that was like a thing between us. And so I made it, and I sent her a picture at 6 a.m. in the morning. And she, knowing now, looking at her phone, she had saved it to her phone, so she saw it and knew, but she never replied to me. And I said, I'll make these for you when you get back home. And I said, I don't know why you're not answering, but I'll make these for you. And so at 6 a.m. our time, she was still here.
Yeah.
So it was after, so an hour and a half later is when she passed away.
So I guess
Right?
I'm kind of confused
Yeah.
as what is a sober living? Because I thought that sober living was something that you could go in and out freely, but you lived there. Is that not, I mean, how does the facility she was staying at work?
It
People
is.
can
I mean,
visit,
it's
or-
not locked down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry?
So people, they can go like have jobs and come back, or people can come visit
Yeah, and
them?
after they do certain things and have so much treatment, or they go to meetings, if they're participating and trying to recover, then they can start doing other things. But Sarah never got to that point.
I think realistically, she should never have been in sober living.
Right,
She should have been in
long-term treatment.
to me, we think now, hindsight, should have been lockdown facility.
Oh yeah.
Where,
Is that an option for people if their child or spouse or whomever is over 18 and they are harming themselves? That's not an option.
Not even mental with addiction. We fought a lot against the hospitals and doctors that judged Sarah that, and we were judged for having an addict daughter, and that was a big fight. So I always said that to him, why can't you just put her in a facility? Why can't she needs help? It's not just addiction. She's dealing with mental stuff. And the state of Colorado, you can do that. You can admit someone for drug use and mental, like if there's both. But state of Utah, you can't. There's no law against that. So, which I don't think's right.
Right. And Texas the same way.
Yeah, Texas the same way. So there's only, I think, two or three states that will allow you to do that.
So how do your insurance companies pick what facilities they will and won't use?
They only have I guess a few out of state, because it's an in-state. Everything was covered if it was in-state. And so they only do a select few if it's out of state that they'll cover.
Did you guys know that beforehand?
That was one.
That only in Colorado would they do mandatory, or you know what I mean?
No.
Like a lockdown?
No, I found that out by going to a town hall meeting here about addiction in Salt Lake.
Because that's good information to have too. I mean, if there is facilities like that, you know, where you can
probably about.
That's why I was kind of saying, you know, for other parents that watch is do your homework on facilities that
in the law,
what they require,
yeah,
what their procedures are, if at all cost, make sure it's in state, because nothing's worse than an out-of-state call that your child's passed.
yeah.
And you have to scramble to try to get out of state just to take care of things and stuff like that.
Did you guys bring her home, or was she?
Well, before she passed away, she did talk about if she passed away, what she would want. We had that conversation because I was worried about where she was at, and she knew that she was in a bad place, and she told me that she wanted to be cremated.
She was. You saw the picture of Brookie up there. She really adored Brooke a lot. Those two kind of saw eye to eye. And I think when Brooke passed and we did that cremation, I think she kind of looked at that as maybe that's how she wanted to.
Yeah, so we knew. And so what I went to, my sister and I went to Texas to do a viewing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a nightmare. That's another thing that I would say for parents going through this, if this does happen, make sure you know more about being out of state. You don't really know what you're paying for or doing. So you're just scrambling. There's people are trying to figure it out for you and don't know the right questions to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And
where, I mean, I'll say Houston, Texas is not, there are some decent parts in it, but there are some bad parts of Houston, Texas that she was associated with and where she was at. And so when she passed away, she was sent somewhere that deals a lot with people passing away from OD, and they treat them like just kind of like a number. Like, this is box number 2.
Yeah.
This isn't somebody's daughter or
but
mother.
I fought against it because they weren't going to let me see her or touch her. I had to do it through a glass.
Why?
A glass window. Because they said that's what we paid for. And I said, well,
that's my child. That's not about being paid for. That's my child.
Yeah. And I said, no way did we pay for that. Like, that was never an option. We told them that, like, it was a viewing. and it was totally different when we got there. But my sister ended up fighting the fact of what we thought was going to happen compared to what did happen, and so they let me go in and touch her and say my goodbyes. So luckily I was able to, because I mean,
Yeah.
that would have been even worse if I couldn't have done that. So
Fortunately, I wasn't able to.
he
So.
wasn't able to go. So it was just my sister and I.
I thought that was hard. But at least you had your sister with you, so
Yeah, my
that was really hard
twin.
for
So
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's been there probably the most through all this. Besides, I'm surprised that we've held on the way we have together too. So through all this.
Yeah.
It's not a bonding moment.
Well, no.
You know, it definitely can. You know, for families out there that go through it, it's definitely not a bonding moment. It definitely can drive.
Well, most people end up in divorce
Yeah.
with situations like this within the first year, if not right away. And so we've made it a little over a year and a half. So I think we're past that, luckily.
I mean, a lot of it's because people deal with loss and grief differently. She can act. She may be feeling one thing one day, and I'm feeling completely different. And so then we start clashing about, you know, feelings and stuff like that. And it's just where your headspace is at, and how you communicate and stuff like that. I think that's where people fall in trouble, where they don't listen, they don't communicate, and they might be on different pages, and they take it kind of personal between each other, and then it just drives a big wedge between them, and you know, then they just end up falling apart.
Yeah. So, and you guys have already been through before this with Brookie. How long ago did Brookie pass before Sarah passed?
3 years.
About yeah,
But
or
No, 2 years.
2 years, or a little over 2 years. Yeah.
what's the difference?
February and
So yeah, December. No, little over 3 years.
February 2015, and then Sarah December
18.
18.
Crazy. Yeah. That's a lot for one family to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah, the family, I mean, it was hard dealing with one after another, it seemed like.
The thing is like, I mean, it's not a great thing to share, but it's something that you all could feel and relate with, you know, because his sister had just passed, and, you know, I'm sure she was like a sister to you, and all of his family.
We took Brooke to her first bar.
When she was 15.
Yeah, she was 15.
I think,
you know, so
I think we ended up, I think your mom knows, right? Your parents know.
She knows.
Yeah, I think she knows now. FYI, in case she doesn't know, but I think she does.
You know, yes, you know, it was hard for 2.5 years, you know, difference, but they're different passings.
Oh yeah.
You know, Brooke was sick. We all kind of knew that,
But it's all hard the same, you know. I mean,
Still the same loss, the yearning for that loss that you have. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but we understood Brooke's past.
Yeah.
There was nothing we could do about it.
No.
Sarah's,
There's something that could have been
we
done.
don't understand it because
She
we're not addicts, and we're not. We didn't go through that life of you know, cancer is a completely different, you know, beast in itself. It takes whoever it wants.
Well, so does addiction when you get to that point too, though.
But there was treatment for the addiction.
Right.
There wasn't treatment for the cancer. She already went through that. It didn't take, and so she ended up passing from that. The addiction, we felt that there was more that could have been done for her that just didn't get done.
Yeah.
Both on her level and every day our level. We think that we could have done more. And then the facility wise, treatment places just needed to step up more. So there was just so many gaps that were missed in the treatment of Sarah that we ended up losing her because of it. So
What would you tell parents out there going through the same thing? What would you recommend? Because it's hard. Obviously you don't know what the child's going to do, when they go there, because they still have somewhat, especially if they're over 18, of a say in how it all goes down. How do you find the right facility? How do you get them to go?
Well, we trusted her going to Texas because we got that from our insurance. And
we had places here that she could have went.
Yeah.
We trusted in her that she said that she would go, but only out of state. Not saying that there's not good treatment places out of state. I'm sure there are. And I'm sure there's good ones in Texas.
But maybe, or do more research. We probably should have done more research on where she was going, and then when she left, where she was at afterwards, in and out. And so research, maybe even calling other sober living places to try to get an idea of the other facility, because they'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Compared to what the actual facility is going to tell you. Of course, they're going to say we can help them, and we have the stats are this, but
in a personal level, I would recommend anything in state,
in state, not out of state,
where you're an hour drive, half hour drive, or even 20-minute drive. If anything goes wrong, you can be there.
And you can be there for therapy. You can be there.
You can go to these meetings.
You can be part of her recovery or their recovery.
Actually have a hand in it.
Yeah.
And just communication with whoever's going through this. Like I said, Sarah had some legal issues that were going on, and we tried to talk to her about that. Try to reassure that things were okay. But
you think that had anything
just
to do with
in general?
What's that? I'm sorry. What?
You think that had anything to do with her using that day because she had court that day and she was scared?
I think so. I think she was nervous about it. I ended up finding a letter that she wrote to herself before she passed away, and she talks about that. She talks about it. She was really worried about what would happen, and I found a couple letters, but so some of it was, it was good to read, but some of it wasn't good to read. But sorry, I just get all over the place when I talk about certain things, and so I'm hoping
it's a lot of good information. It shows, just the fact of her passing in Texas, what you had to go through to get her back or to be able to see her. People don't understand that is an issue whatsoever. I would never think that they would put you behind a glass, window and say you didn't pay for that. That's honestly.
And there were options that we could send her to a different mortuary where they had different guidelines where it was more of a casket with, they'd do her hair and makeup and stuff like that, but then, that's going to cost this much or whatever. So, but we were in the impression that what we spent would have been all that.
My father helped us with that. They, him and his wife helped us with that too. But we thought that's what we were getting.
Would they
When-
give you the option to do that yourself? Because a lot of people do that. They'll go and they'll get their family members ready
Oh, really?
and have a viewing.
Oh.
I know that, like with my
I didn't
grandma,
know that.
did that. All the daughters went and they dressed Dorothy, and they did her hair and makeup and all that stuff.
I didn't even know
I mean, I don't know in Texas
that was an option. Yeah.
whatever, but in
And
different
that's what I'm saying. It was where she passed away. I think it's so prominent that
With
there is a
addiction.
lot of drug overdoses and stuff that they just treat them like a number,
Yeah.
you know. And you were saying that it was a cardboard box
Yeah.
she was in.
like a cardboard box.
Yeah. Yeah. And that it shocked me to where, I mean, I wasn't expecting that at all. It was such a shock.
Now, I mean, do we know that that's normal everywhere?
Well, because we never been through this, you know, and so we didn't know. We thought we were doing one thing, but it was another. Everything is, like I said earlier, a lot of it I don't even remember, you know, and I think maybe another family member taking charge and making sure what's going to happen if that does happen.
Yeah.
And
So you're
because
the one who
me
had to
trying
make
to,
those decisions.
yeah.
Yeah, and you're out of your mind with grief, and so definitely not the person.
And because we had to be there that next morning. Wasn't it next morning or that same day we left?
It was
Or
next morning.
yeah, early that next morning we left, so we didn't have much time at all
Yeah.
to try to figure it out. And then so then we had her cremated there because I didn't want to just bring her body back here. I didn't think that was appropriate, I guess.
The loopholes of transporting bodies.
Oh yeah, and then
Wait,
the loopholes with the laws against doing that as well.
and we were going to cremate her anyway. So, you know, when I talked to Debbie, and you know, even though I didn't get to say my goodbye to her, I felt it would still be better if we did it there and then brought her home.
Well, we couldn't take her on the plane, so they had to mail her ashes to us. Yeah.
Did you guys bury her here, or do you keep her in your home?
We still have her in our home.
Yeah. Her favorite place was.
We're still thinking of
What you're gonna do?
plot or you know.
No, I don't think Sarah would have liked a plot. I really don't. She was a free spirit, and she was very, like I said, all over she always wanted to travel, always be somewhere, and
So kind of everywhere we go, like on vacations and stuff like that, we'll bring some with us, a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
Kind of like
she loved the ocean.
let her see Hawaii,
Yeah.
Heck yeah. So
Cabo,
she never got to go to Hawaii?
stuff like that.
Did she ever go to Hawaii?
No,
Yeah.
no.
I know your family
She
likes to
didn't.
go to Hawaii a lot.
Yeah. So we went, but she would go to the beach in California and in Texas and some other places that she went to. So we knew that she loved that atmosphere,
Yeah.
those surroundings. So
That's cool. That's neat.
At the Capitol here in Utah,
the,
up behind the Capitol, there's some lookout points that you can see the whole valley and stuff like that. So we had kind of a vigil up there and then threw some ashes up there. She hung up there a lot. So.
yeah. Her and I went there a couple times, like probably a couple years or a year before she passed away, or a little over a year. And so that was a fitting place. She would go up there with all of her friends and stuff. So we spread some ashes there.
Cool. I've heard a lot of things that people have done with ashes. Like, I can't remember who it was. Somebody had told me that they'd done a tattoo and they used the ashes in doing those, and some people will wear them, or they have them places in the house. But some people just don't even know that they hang on to them and kind of do what you guys are doing. Take her with you everywhere you go and let her kind of be everywhere.
And I guess mine is more, I did tattoos for in memory of her.
I seen that. That was a really pretty tattoo.
Yeah, this one right here, or right there. So this is the same tattoo, or the artist that did this did her last one in Texas. So I had it done in Texas while I was down there. The same, and they still had Sarah's playlist on their computer when she was there, because it wasn't that long before. And then this one, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I took her to go see them a couple of years ago, or about 2.5 years, or maybe 3 years now. It was her favorite band, so that I got that on my arm.
Her song,
So what's that?
You know what her favorite song was?
Oh,
Peppers?
oh shoot.
It was on her leg. Life before.
Oh, well, she had a big tattoo on her leg of probably like this, of the symbol, and it said no limitation. Hold on.
Yeah, find it.
Maybe you can pause it.
Yeah. Now for this little break. All right. So we talked a little bit about what you would do, or what you would recommend parents do in the same situation. Was there anything else you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I would say when you're in like I said, when you're in the depth of it, you don't know, when you're trying to find help, it seems like there's not a lot of help. Unfortunately, it's very common when people do pass away that all of a sudden all these programs and stuff become available, and a lot of people deal with that. So that's pretty common. And I did find out about TAM, the Mother's Addict, and they help people. It's people going through it and people that have lost loved ones to addiction. And so especially, I think that's really big for people that are actually in the middle of it, dealing with the worst part of it, to get help, and because they understand exactly what you're going through because they've been there. So I would say do with support groups like TAM.
What would you guys say, because we talked about earlier, I'm not sure if we were on or off, but how, a lot of people end up in divorce after going through a loss like this, or even just with kids that have addiction issues. What would you guys say has helped you guys make it through and stick together?
That's a really good question.
Just because you're awesome.
I think it's the communication point of me. I have to understand how she's feeling on that certain day, and then vice versa.
I get patience.
Yeah, I mean, knowing that this is on a personal note, that okay, we both lost a child, but to me, that it hasn't. We still have a life together, the two of us, and we need to try to make that as best for the two of us as we can. It's hard without, our daughter with us to grow with us, whatever. But we need to grow together. We need to experience, keep experiencing things together, and experience certain things, travel, old age, whatever, which is creeping up on us quickly.
I'm just traveling. It looks awesome.
To me, parents or couples going through this, or family going through this, has to be the communication part.
Communication's huge.
Is, I may have a day where I walk in the house and I'm yes, honor is all it can be, and it could be for certain reasons that pertain to loss or a child. She could wake up one day and just hate everything and just be in such a bad mood. You need to understand and communicate why this is happening, not just react to the
emotion
to the attitude, to the emotion that's going on. And if someone's in a bad mood, they're in a bad mood for a certain reason. You need to talk to them and find out why that is, and if they need to talk about if it is about the loss of their child, or not even the loss of their child. It could be the frustration of dealing with an addict. You need to sit down and talk about it, and let them express how they're feeling, why they're upset with either their child or whatever being defiant, or
stealing
just
money,
having an issue with their child that's an addict, or if they're dealing with the fact that they've lost their child and they're just having a hard time coping with it. You have to sit down and understand what that feeling is that they're having, instead of disregarding it. And
I would say actually dealing with it, because it's something that's really hard to deal with, especially losing a child. So I think at first we weren't dealing with it. I don't even remember the first 6 months of my life afterwards. And so actually sitting down and dealing with it, and right?
yes, and yeah, what I'm saying is communication is going to be vital. Me personally, I think what is really going to help is the understanding that you still have to grow with the person next to you.
Yeah.
Even though that you've just lost somebody, you've lost your son, your daughter, parent. I mean, anybody that you lose to addiction is going to be a hard thing to understand. But understand that you have somebody next to you that you need to continue growing with. That's why I think, to me personally, I think vacations are going to be vital to us. Things that we can have different memories, good experiences, just kind of try to get back to a normal day-to-day type life, even though every day is going to be different. Every week's going to be different. Different challenges are going to come up. Emotions are going to come up that are hard to handle. But it's the continuation of growing together with the loss of a loved one.
Can I ask you guys a personal question? Oh my God, I think I'm getting it.
Do I need a drink for this?
You might. You might. I think it's all gone though. So where do you think that she is? And do you think you will see her again? But with Brookie and with Sarah, what do you think?
That's a really, really good question. My mom passed away in 2008 at 59 years old. So that was really, really difficult as well. And then Brooke passing, and then Sarah passing. I've had a really, really hard time. And when people bring God into it and bring, she's in a better place and she's this and that, I get really, really upset about stuff like that. It's made me lose hope in anything beyond. I mean, I still try to hang on to that hope that maybe there's something beyond, but because what if there is? But I really don't think so. because I know if that was the case, she would come back and let us know that she was okay. And so I have a really, really hard time with that. What?
Is that the
Nothing.
same way you feel?
I just think she's tapping into another 6-hour debate.
You believe-
I'm here to debate with you, Troy.
Because,
Do you believe it? Like,
Debate you.
no, I mean,
I'm just curious on your guys' thoughts. I mean, I didn't know even when Brookie passed, you know, I don't know exactly what your side of the family feels in that sense. I know that you guys had 2 different funerals that were, you know, like you guys had one at an LDS church, and then you had, I mean, I don't know if it was just like a viewing. I mean, I went to both, and then you guys had the get together.
yeah, I mean, you know my family. They're
I know your family, but I'm really not sure where they sit there. You know, and I'm just curious. You know.
well, you know my mom. She's
Yes.
she's
Your
religious.
mom.
I mean, she feels that everything's LDS and stuff like that. And
but
I'm not that close to it. I'm not that in tune to it, even though I was raised that way. And
Right. And that's what I was curious about. Like, do you believe there's another, that, you know, people are resurrected, or that there's a God, or just out of curiosity, not here to like say, hey, this is the way it is.
oh no, but I think what's happened though justifies our beliefs
but
of
when you lose somebody, you want to think of them somewhere else
Yeah.
better. The only thing I can say, I can't really speak for Debbie's mother being in a better place. She had a really good life. That was, I wouldn't mind living where she did and the life she had. All I can speak for is Brooke and Sarah, is that they no longer had to suffer. Brookie struggled with pain, cancer. She didn't have to deal with it anymore. And Sarah
that's very true
isn't
though.
fighting her addiction.
She hated her addiction
No.
and she hated the way that it made her end up being, and that's very true. Even though that's hard to come to terms with.
Yeah, definitely.
And then
But
and then anything beyond that is somebody else's own belief. You know, that they can go ahead and believe that their loved one's in a better place and with their previous past. But
I don't fault anyone.
the
for
only way I
feeling-
look at it is she's no longer in pain. Unfortunately, we have to deal with the pain of her not being here. And when we pass, we'll find out. You know, it's.
Definitely. That's a good way to look at it. That's a great.
I don't put politics. I usually don't get into politics or, you know, religion and stuff like that. It's just something. It's just a feeling that we have of. I don't think of her somewhere else. I just think of her as she's not struggling, and you know, it's a two-way street. You know, she could hopefully not be struggling here with us, but at least she's not struggling anymore.
Real quick, Debbie, how did your mom pass away?
Heart attack. She had, heart disease. Yeah. So she had her first heart attack when she was 48, so my age. And so she lived another,
53?
No, she was 59. So
No, she wasn't. She was 53.
when she was 59 years old, because we were supposed to go there for her 60th birthday. Everyone had plans and made arrangements for her big 60th birthday. Yeah.
I thought she was younger.
So
But
that's
she
right.
lived
So
there.
11 years later. So at least we got those 11 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did she
She
have
lived
like a
a good
bypass
life.
or anything?
She had stents put in and stuff like that. And I think the stent is what did
Just
it.
give
It was a
give
blood
out.
clot.
Oh.
So right after she had surgery.
But she lived a good life. I mean, they ate out. I mean,
My mom loved to cook.
she was a good cook.
Oh,
She got her cooking from.
Oh,
That's why I gained so much weight.
geez. You guys are
see, and that's what I mean. That's what Sarah loved to eat and loved my food, and
Yeah.
I got it from my mom. And
we need to get together because I can't cook.
oh, really? No.
Oh, I hate to cook, but maybe if I was good at it, I wouldn't hate it so much.
Then what are you doing, Enoch?
I run, I go to school, I work. That's pretty much, we can't.
I thought that's the only thing there is to do in Enoch is cook and
What?
sleep.
No, you come out here. I'll show you what's up. We go riding. There's lots of places to ride out here. Do you guys like to ride?
Right, what?
Like side by side, 4-wheeler. We don't have any
I don't.
horses.
But yeah, horses.
Well, I wish.
Yeah, that would be cool.
More.
Yeah.
If we had horses, I'd take you out on a horse. You guys ride horses?
I
I
have.
like to, yeah.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Country life ain't so bad. You city folk.
For a couple days.
Well, I appreciate you guys talking to me today. I think that got a lot of useful information out there to help people going through the same things, and maybe some.
I don't mean to interrupt.
No,
Is there something else? I want to say something else because Trey kind of went off on what he was saying about last words and like what you want people
Oh,
to,
yeah, I did,
to
I
get
did.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Get to my last words.
I would say, I mean, the guilt that comes along with the, like I said before, the guilt that comes along with the addiction, and the guilt that a parent's left with. My thing is, what I hope for parents of addiction is to not take it personally, because it's not personal. It feels like it is. It feels like an attack on them and how they raise their kids and every aspect of their life, but it's not personal. And what else is
Yeah,
it?
so if another couple or whatever sees this and they've already gone through this, and or you know these people that think they understand what you should do and not do, and kind of criticize us for, well, they seem very naive and don't know they don't know what they're doing. They should have done this, should have done that.
Oh yeah, which
Well, then
we've had,
you know, you put yourself in that position, you don't know what you're doing.
and that's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
because if you're not an addict, you don't understand. But my thing is, don't take on your child's addiction or your parents' addiction, whoever it may be. You're not the addict, it's them, and they're the ones that are dealing with the addiction. But a lot of times parents take that on and feel like they can fix it or make it go away, but they can't. I mean, that's probably one of my biggest struggles that I had during all this, is that I took on her addiction. And
Tried to cure it for her.
yeah, but she would
which-
never, unless she was willing, ready, and able, she would never get sober. They have to be willing and ready.
And yes, they have to be willing and stuff like that. But do your homework. Make sure that these facilities are in good standing.
I mean, well,
Look at-
there's going to be bad stuff
look
in
at-
everyone.
Look at lawsuits, see if there's anything
Oh, yeah, that's
that
true.
if you know,
Yeah.
security measures and stuff like that. If they're sent down to a lockdown, they don't have the options of going somewhere. Sober house living, make sure their security is tight, and they ask questions if somebody leaves, protocols on coming back,
Yeah, 'cause we didn't know to ask those questions.
medical treatment on hand if necessary, screenings if if they leave, they come back. If they're on watch, stuff like that.
Did they try the Narcan with her?
Yeah.
I heard quite a few.
Yeah, they did, I think 3. So So,
And it depends on, I think how Narcan works is if you wait too long, it's already in your system, it's in your heart.
yeah.
There's not much it's going to do. If they catch it kind of early and they start showing symptoms of an overdose, then they can get it into you. I think it reaches your heart quicker. I believe. I'm not a medical expert, so and then that's how it's effective and stuff like that.
And I think every household that has dealing with addiction should have Narcan on hand, because we didn't, and because we didn't know at the time.
Kind of what I want to say on the final thoughts is, if you're not sure what to do, you can look up facilities. One thing that kind of we didn't do that I think we probably should have is contact like your mayor, your congressman, or whatever. It's a cat right there.
Yeah, it's my cat.
Oh.
Talk to your congressman. Talk to people who are in a advocates that are trying to push. What's the word I'm looking for? The advocates for drug use and addiction. We went to a meeting right after with the mayor and stuff like that, and the chief of police and the psychologists and stuff like that. And we didn't even know these groups existed until after the fact. So contact these people. Contact your congressman and find out. Say, hey, I have my child's an addict. What do I do? I don't know where even to look. And that's doing your homework. So they may be able to point you somewhere quicker than you trying to find it through your insurance company or just looking for the signs until it's too late. Contact people who have resources to help you a lot faster. So,
Yeah.
Well, you're in the mix of it, yeah.
And my thing is, now, unfortunately, after Sarah passed away, it's more common, and it's people passing from fentanyl and addiction. But now there's a lot more than there was when Sarah was in her addiction. And well, thank God there is, but now they're starting to humanize it instead, because Sarah at the time, and she wasn't looked at in that way, but now they're starting to humanize it, and which I think is really good, because they are a sister, a brother, an aunt, uncle, parent, and no one ever wants to be addicted. And
stretch it out. I know.
What are you laughing about?
our cat's peeking over the computer. No, ours, our cat.
Oh, she went away. So
Okay, can I show you Sarah's cat and the story behind it?
you're a cat person, aren't you, Troy?
I am. Yep.
You guys have any dogs or just cats?
What? The old house we used to live in, Mary, our other daughter, wanted a dog, so we got her a little lab puppy. And I said, all right, as long as you clean up after him, I'll get you a lab puppy.
That didn't happen.
That never happened.
Yeah, it never does. Aww.
So this is TJ, and because Sarah loved animals, and she would rescue them. She would go to the Humane Society. On her birthday, she would go around and collect blankets for like the animals in the Humane Society. And then she would spend her money on treats and give every animal a treat. And then she did that for quite some time. But this one, she ended up. This one ended up.
Huh?
All right, the other cat's being silly.
Stupid silly.
But we call her Sarah's purse cat because when she found her, and I took her and her friend out to eat to a Mexican restaurant, and all of a sudden I heard a cat meow, and I'm like, why am I hearing the cat meow? And then again, I'm like, Sarah, did you? And then she's like, no, I didn't. And then I heard it again, and so she opened up her purse and she had a kitten,
A feral kitten
in her purse in a restaurant. So I'm like, okay, I guess we have to go. We have to get our food to go and leave. And so she ended up talking us into keeping her.
That's so cute. Turn your kitty around. I need to see her face. Oh.
So we thought she was a boy. That's why her name's TJ.
That is so cute. I love the stripes on her arms.
Yeah.
Cute.
So
that's not even the pretty kitty.
She's a little dear, or a little close to our heart because of a little bit of Sarah.
Yeah. What color is your other cat? Yeah, grab it. We gotta see the pretty one.
Who's my cat?
Oh, so cute. Does that have blue eyes? Oh,
Green eyes.
so pretty. What kind is that?
Being held.
A tabby, I think.
No, she's not tabby.
Aren't tabbies orange?
Oh, maybe, yeah. Ooh, I don't remember.
We've been told what kind she is. She's just the princess, I guess.
Train his cats, let me tell you. That's probably why Sarah loved cats so much.
Yeah, probably. Okay, guys. Well, I thank you so much for being here today. I think it's going to be super helpful for people out there going through the same thing. You did say that you went to some meetings afterwards. What was that called again?
Pam. It's called the Mother's Addict, and they have one that's national.
The addict's mother.
Or sorry, the addict's mother. They have one that's national for every state, and you can sign up on Facebook. But then each state has their own individual, so you can just Google TAM Utah, or yeah, the Addict's Mother Utah, and then you should be able to find that group on Facebook. And then they do have meetings where they get together and talk, which is really helpful, and because I went to quite a few of them, and it was really helpful.
Depends. Because it depends on what direction they go. If they go too religious, then, you know.
Well, Utah has a lot of religious support groups,
yeah,
which wasn't for us, and so it was hard for me to find a place because of that.
Was TAM one that both of you guys could go to, or just the mothers?
I think it was just the mothers, but yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Guys don't have support groups.
Yeah, it's not very common. It should be.
We're just supposed to deal with it.
You're just supposed to be tough and tough it out?
Yeah.
You haven't gone to any groups, Troy?
No.
No? Well, she can come home and she can counsel you, right?
Which I do, yeah.
Good. I saw a big eye roll there, just so you know. All right, guys, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Come down and visit me in Little